years, once air conditioning became common in buildings, it was sort of, this is the advanced technology that everybody should want to have. And certainly in the middle of the summer in Boston or elsewhere, you really need air conditioning. But people then started thinking about, if I control my climate throughout the year, that must be a much more wonderful kind of environment that people like. And again, as I said, most surveys have showed people don't particularly like it. And many people get very upset by being sealed up in a building where they have really no control over their ventilation or cooling system. But again, the mindset is, well, I need air conditioning, nothing else will possibly work. So it's a question of doing some demonstrations and showing people, indeed, it does work, that people are comfortable, there is an energy savings associated with it. But along with that, we found, for example, in the Japanese buildings, people had to understand how to operate the system. In many cases, they didn't understand what was going on in the system, and no one gave them any feedback or education on it. There are different kinds of natural ventilation. There is a so-called cross-ventilation system where you design a building which has an open plan floor, and you have windows on opposite sides of the floor, and you allow the wind to circulate through the building and use that as a ventilation system. The idea is you want to bring enough air into the building so that you can draw the heat out that's being generated inside the building. In other cases, like the Japanese building, since we're in the middle of central Tokyo and the buildings are close to each other, the chance of wind in lower floors of the building is pretty slim. So in that case, it uses basically a chimney effect. So you have a large central duct, you open the windows, the air flows into the building, is warmed up so it's warmer than the outside air, and then it has a positive buoyancy that flows into this vertical duct that goes all the way to the ceiling, and that exhausts the air from the building. A couple of key problems. One is the problem of design. Second is the problem of education of people. Third is design the control system for these, because in many cases people don't understand how to run the control system. For example, when should you ventilate at night? When do you need to turn on the air conditioning system and the like? So we're trying to tackle all of these in the work that we're doing here at MIT. For example, we have concerned about this issue about design. So a lot of designers say natural ventilation, I don't understand how it works, so I won't even think about it in the design phase. We have developed some relatively simple software tools that a designer can use. Once they have a rough idea of what the plan of the building looks like, that tool will tell them how much airflow they'll have in the natural ventilation system, and therefore how much, what will be the temperature in the various parts of the building to help them design how large should the windows be, what kind of control systems could they use in the building. Will in fact natural ventilation work in those particular cases? And now we're trying to go further in the tool to try and develop some control algorithms to show them how can they properly control the system once they have a system up and running.